Hey everybody, welcome to Law and Society. It's a quick update. Jack Smith has filed a superseding indictment in the Mar-a-Lago case and added a defendant, uh, Carlos something. And this person was in charge of, I believe, the cameras, and there's a new obstruction charge. And long story short, it the case just got a lot worse for Donald Trump. Fair warning, I did not go over this superseding indictment because honestly, I am overwhelmed with going through these indictments that largely say the same things. And more importantly, I am now wholly focused on Jack Smith bringing the indictments for Donald Trump's crimes on and around January 6th. Not just the insurrection, but the plotting and the planning and the fake elector plan. And, you know, we had anticipated that that would be the indictment that we would see, but it was a superseding indictment in the Mar-a-Lago case. And this particular indictment strengthens the DOJ's case even further because we get the idea that somehow Jack Smith has gotten his hands on the document that Donald Trump is taped talking about with people who do not have clearance. And there is, in the superseding indictment, there's talk of Donald Trump after the subpoena uh, was issued for these documents by the FBI. That it was after that Donald Trump ordered Walt Nauta and this Carlos person to go and delete the tapes uh, of and videos, and the indictment shows strong indication that Jack Smith has been able to corroborate this information uh, via other employees who have cooperated with the government instead of doing what Carlos and Walt are doing. And mind you, their lawyers are being paid for by Donald Trump. So, you know, if they wish to do what people who are cooperating are doing and save themselves uh, criminal liability, they can, because they can plead to a lower charge that they've been charged with in lieu of cooperation and get a couple of years and be done with it, as opposed to take this to trial and be convicted of it, because there's, at this point before trial, more evidence than it would take for, beyond a reasonable doubt standard. So Donald is in a bad place in the Mar-a-Lago case, and it couldn't happen to a more deserving person. But this won't be the last of Donald's indictments. Donald Trump will face indictment for January 6th. Donald Trump will face indictment in Georgia. And let's see if the other states where fake electors were trying to upend the will of the people of a free and fair election, we will see whether those states like Arizona and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Nevada follow through. Michigan has. Georgia is on the doorstep of doing something big. And they have already taken security measures of barricading the courthouse. And I believe that law enforcement all around the country should be on alert, because every single day Donald Trump's rhetoric on Truth Social gets more and more bellicose. It becomes more violent. It targets the prosecutors. It targets Joe Biden. It essentially it politicizes a criminal matter. I want to make clear this idea that it's become a political prosecution because Donald Trump and MAGA and the Republican establishment has gone out and publicly spoken in favor of Donald Trump on the matter of an ongoing criminal investigation and now prosecution. They have politicized the matter because they have brought it out to the people to talk about in the court of public opinion. It's not the DOJ that's releasing these, I got a target letter about January 6th. I'm going to get arrested for this and that. It's Donald Trump who is every day politicizing what his criminal prosecution should be, where taking it away from where it should be, which is in a court of law. And as this happens in a court of law, and as he goes and makes it more of a false narrative on his Truth Social, it's going to create the possibility of random acts of violence. We've seen that with Paul Pelosi. We saw that with the politicians in New Mexico. David DePape, who attacked Paul Pelosi with a hammer, and then we had Solomon Pena, who shot up, political opponents' garages because he had lost an election. And I fear that once Donald Trump is indicted for January 6th, and because, this will be his third indictment, what will happen with where he would be held and whether there would be restrictions and, protective orders against what he can and cannot say online. Because if he's allowed to keep saying this, somebody will get hurt. Somebody who's in the family, friends, anybody who encircles Jack Smith and the team prosecuting Donald Trump, and anybody who are prosecutors prosecuting Donald Trump all over the different states, they all are at risk when Donald Trump targets prosecutors and then specifically targets Jack Smith. Jack Smith's family and Jack Smith's friends are at risk. And Jack Smith is getting, U.S. Marshal Service protection. Maybe his family is too, but, there are people in his periphery who may not qualify for protective services. But Donald Trump is creating the environment that is, it's a criminal mob boss intimidation on public stochastic terror that he's inciting on Truth Social has not abated. It has not been abated by either the Manhattan court or or Eileen Cannon in Florida. We can't expect Eileen Cannon to do anything about it, and I don't know why the Manhattan court has not imposed some sort of protective order. But you don't see him they have, because you don't see him making those comments about Bragg as much anymore as he does about Jack Smith. He lumps them all together now and makes it a sort of a political Democrats thing when it's anything but. When a grand jury comes back with a verdict, it is of, we will indict, yes, we won't indict. And then that goes to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor then takes it to the court. The means of politicization would be to say that the grand jury was somehow full of Democrats, and that's not how juries are picked in the United States. It never has been picked. Anybody who's done jury duty, anybody who's stood in front of a jury of any capacity, in any capacity, they know that that's not how juries are picked. Grand juries are not picked that way either. So this is a group of people, Americans in that jurisdiction where the crime took place, who are going over the evidence presented by the DOJ, asking the grand jury whether it finds that there is preponderance of the evidence that there is criminal activity afoot here. That is the standard. It's lower than beyond a reasonable doubt. And that grand jury then hands down the indictment that Jack Smith will then take and indict Donald Trump. It's not Jack Smith's decision. It's the grand jury's decision. And that's something that that Donald Trump keeps muddling up for his flock on Truth Social. And MAGA takes it and amplifies it, as much as it can on other platforms other than Truth Social. And obviously there's a downside of even those who want to show the brazen lawlessness of Donald Trump post those on other social medias as an example of it. That also has the double-edged sword effect of perpetuating what he's saying. But it's important to point that out when, posting his messages, is the context of it, is what he's doing with it. And no other criminal defendant would be allowed to do that, would get anywhere close to that. But somehow, even to this day, Donald Trump is, doubling down on the election lie and attacking the people who are investigating him for the crimes that he committed based on the election lie, and then that culminated into the insurrection on January 6th. It's absolutely mind-blowing and unreal. It's hard to overstate how unreal this is, that Donald Trump is doing this and he's getting away with it, even up till now. So we'll have to see what happens with the January 6th investigation. We'll have to see when that indictment comes. It's any day now. It's, sooner rather than later. Let's hope that August will be the indictment for January 6th federally by Jack Smith and the election interference by Fani Willis in Georgia. We just have to keep our eyes on the docket. And it's tiring, it's exhausting, and that's partially the reason why I personally didn't go over the superseding indictment. I read the summaries by Andrew Wiseman, by on Slate by a gentleman named David Aftergut, I think. It's on my Twitter feed. It's a Slate magazine article that really does a really good job of breaking down, and I'm going off of that information because I'm not going to go over that superseding indictment. I'm waiting for Donald Trump's indictment for January 6th, and that way I can break it down for you. I'm waiting to be proven wrong about my seditious conspiracy claim that I claimed 2.5 years ago. I still stand by it. Let's see if Jack Smith has gathered enough evidence to put that on the indictment sheet if the grand jury finds that that also meets the burden of proof that they are supposed to measure up to. So with that said, I will conclude today. Thank you so much for being here. If you are here, please like and subscribe. Please share my channel with your friends, family, and comment. Please let me know if there are things that you don't like, and I will do my best to address them. Be careful, be vigilant, be safe, stand up for your rights, and keep our republic, yeah? Take care.